All right, today we're going to dive into a tool that's been at the heart of project management for, believe it or not, over 100 years, the Gantt chart. We're going to break down what it is, why it's still so popular, and maybe more importantly, where it can all go spectacularly wrong. You know the feeling, right? You're juggling a million tasks, a dozen deadlines, and a bunch of different people. It can feel like barely controlled chaos. The real trick, the real challenge, is figuring out how to bring some order to all that complexity, to turn a messy, sprawling list of to-dos into a clear, actionable plan. But how do you actually do that? So let's start with what I call the project management puzzle. See, managing a schedule isn't just about looking neat and tidy. It's about preventing some really costly delays. If you get this part wrong, the whole project can start to just unravel. So how do we make the plan visible? Well, that brings us right to the Gantt chart, a tool that was literally designed to take these abstract ideas of time and effort and make them something you can actually see and touch. So what is a Gantt chart? At its core, it's really just a special kind of bar chart. It was invented by a guy named Henry Gantt way back in the early 1900s. And his goal was incredibly simple: create a way for everyone, from the person on the factory floor to the manager in the office, to understand the project's progress in a single glance. Okay, so let's break down how this works. It's actually pretty simple. Down the left side, on that vertical axis, you've got your list of tasks and who's responsible for them. Then, running along the top, that's your timeline. Could be days, weeks, whatever you need. And the bars, they show you how long each task is supposed to take. So you can see right away that task B is assigned to team 2, and it's set to happen during weeks 2 and 3. It's clean, it's simple, and it's a surprisingly powerful way to see the whole picture. But, like any tool, it's not a silver bullet. It's not perfect. To really get a handle on the Gantt chart, we gotta look at both its strengths and its weaknesses.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. There's a fundamental trade-off here. The chart's greatest strength, its superpower, is its ability to visualize the entire workflow. But that exact same strength becomes its biggest weakness when a project gets too large. Suddenly, your simple chart turns into this impossibly complex web of bars, and it completely loses its clarity. And here's the other crucial thing. It doesn't really show you how much effort a task takes, or its true priority, just when it's supposed to happen.
So, despite those weaknesses, it's still an incredibly valuable tool. So let's do a quick run-through of how you'd actually build a basic one from scratch. Building one is actually a really methodical process. You kick things off by listing every single task you can think of. Don't leave anything out. Then, and this part is key, you break down the huge, intimidating tasks into smaller, bite-sized pieces. That helps avoid overwhelm. Next up is sequencing, and this is critical. This is where you map out all the dependencies, figuring out what has to happen before something else can start. From there, it's a matter of scheduling it all out with start and end dates, assigning the right people, and finally, plugging all that information into a tool like Excel or Google Sheets to bring your plan to life. Okay, but here is where the story really takes a turn. What happens when we move beyond that basic do-it-yourself manual approach? And this is the point I really want to drive home. The visual idea of the Gantt chart is, frankly, brilliant. The problem that trips so many of us up isn't the chart itself. It's the static, manual tools we often use to build and maintain it. Think about it. Using a manual tool like Excel is kind of like taking a single photograph of your project. It's frozen in time. Any little change means you have to manually update everything, which opens the door to a ton of copy-paste errors. An automated scheduler, on the other hand, is like a live video feed. It actually understands how all the tasks are connected. It can adjust the entire project in real time, instantly and accurately. Let's see exactly what that looks like. So the process is supposed to go assembly, then inspection, then packing. Simple enough. But assembly gets delayed. In your manual spreadsheet, you just drag the assembly bar to the right, and look what happens. Total chaos. Your chart now says that inspection is happening before assembly. The entire logical flow of your project is completely broken.
Now, let's watch how an automated scheduler deals with that exact same delay. Assembly gets pushed back, but look, the system knows that inspection depends on it, so it automatically shifts all the related tasks, perfectly preserving the correct sequence. The plan is updated, it's still logical, and it's correct, with zero manual fixes needed.
So when you power your Gantt chart with this kind of intelligence, the benefits are just massive. You're not just moving bars on a screen anymore. You're actually shortening lead times, you're able to replan on the fly, you're cutting down on excess inventory, and you're minimizing waste. The chart goes from being a simple picture to a powerful, dynamic engine for managing your work.
So that really leaves us with one last question for you to think about with your own projects. Is your Gantt chart just a static picture hanging on the wall? Or is it a dynamic, living guide that actually helps you navigate the chaos? Honestly, the answer to that question could be the difference between a project that succeeds and one that fails. Thanks for tuning in.